Everything you've been taught in sports betting from the beginning of time has been completely wrong. In this video, I'm going to show you what they know that they've hid from you for years and decades, and how you could implement this into your betting now and you'll start winning. Let's start by talking about what is true probability. Okay, what is it? True probability is the percent of an event actually occurring. Okay, that's what true probability is the percent of an event that's actually going to occur that you're looking at. Now, to be able to come up with the true probability, there's a couple things that you really can't do. Okay, so you can't really find true probability for spreads, money lines, and totals. The reason why is because there's too many variables that are involved with spreads, money lines, and totals that it's very hard to get an actual calculation. You can't do it manually, I'll put it that way. Manually, you cannot come up with a percentage for a true probability for money line, spreads, and totals. Manually, you can't do it. The only way to actually come up with a true probability is by having AI run data points throughout all the players on each of those teams going against each other. That's the only way to really actually come up with a true probability. And manually, it's nearly impossible. You would spend probably all day looking at one matchup just trying to come up with a true probability for spreads, money lines, or totals. So what this works on the most is actually player props. Player props are where you could come up with a real true probability of that event actually being able to occur. And now I'm going to explain to you exactly the data points that you need to look at to come up with that true probability. What's funny is it's actually pretty simple. So let's go ahead and start with the steps of coming up with true probability. Your first step here is going to be looking at season-long data for that player that you're looking at. Season-long data. Now, if the season just started, then you have to look at prior season's data, right? And as long as they were on the same team, same stipulations, then you could use the prior season's data. If they are on a different team with different surroundings, then you cannot use that data. You have to use data where it's similar to what they have seen in the current situation. So, season-long data for the player. Second thing, similar defense data. All right, so what this means is how that player goes against the similar defense that they're playing on that night that you're looking to make a bet on them. Now, I'm going to run through an example with you guys so that way you guys can actually see how this looks in real life, okay? But similar defensive data means that this player is playing against this certain team tonight. Well, let's see what the data points are on how they play against a team that has the same exact defense that's similar to the one they're playing on that given night. Because now what that does is give you an accurate projection of how they're going to go against that exact team that they're playing on that given night. Now let's go ahead and run through an example. So the example that I want to use here is going to be in the NBA. All right, we're going to use LaMelo Ball. This is the example we're going to use. Okay, we're going to use his points for him just to score points. So in this matchup, he's going against the Magic. Okay, Magic right now are one of the worst teams at guarding the point guard position for just pure points. Okay, just for pure points. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to make some examples here with some of the props that we have for points. Okay, so his minus 110 line is 24 plus points. His minus 250 line is 20 points. And then his minus 500 line is 15 plus points. So what this means, obviously, if he scores 24 points, he wins this. He scores 20, he wins this. Scores 15, he wins this. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at his season-long data on paper, how many times he's been able to clear this. So if we look at 24 plus, he's been able to clear this 26% of the time this season. Not too good, right? Next, let's get to 20. He's been able to clear this 49% of the time this season. Still not that good. Now let's go ahead and get to 15 plus. 15 plus, he's been able to clear this 84% of the time. So now we're getting a little better, right? Now, when you look at this right off the bat, I know some people are going to say, wouldn't I just bet the opposite here for him to go under 24 points if him to go over is 26%? No, the reason behind that is because of the matchup that he's going against. Okay? The matchup that he's going against is one of the best matchups in the league for a point guard for points. So you don't want to be on the under for that. Even though the numbers do speak that, the other side doesn't line up, or the matchup doesn't line up. Okay? So this was his season-long data at those points. Now let's take a look at how he did percentage-wise against similar defenses as the Magic. So similar defenses being teams that don't guard that point guard position too well and give up a decent amount of points allowed. So now if we take a look here for 24 plus against similar defenses, we get 21%. So it actually gets worse, okay? It gets worse in that category. Then when we go to 20 plus, we got 46% against similar defenses. Gets worse in that category as well. Then our last category is going to be at 15 plus. This one, it actually gets better here. We get 88% against similar defenses to score at least 15 plus points. So now let's take a look at implied probability, which is implied probability is the odds the sportsbook gives you pretty much for the event actually occurring, okay? The implied probability. Minus 110 is about 53%. All right, so let's put 53% here. Minus 250 is about 72%. And then minus 500 is about 83%. So now let's go ahead and take a look at what we do here. What we do here is what we're going to do is we're going to take the average of those two. So 21 and 26, that's a gap of about 5 points. Divide that by 2, so about 23% is his true probability. Whereas his implied probability is 53%, that's negative 30%. So what? We wouldn't be looking at that whatsoever, right? There's no way we'd be looking at that. All right, here we're going to get about 47%. Another huge negative number there. It's about a negative 25% edge. So cross it out, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to cross that out. Because negative edge is not what you want. See, this is where the sportsbook gets you. Because they want you to play the negative edge plays. If you play the negative edge plays long term, you are going to lose money. Just like when you sit at a blackjack table, you sit at a craps table, you sit at a baccarat table. You will lose money long term because the house edge eats you up if you keep playing plays like this. You keep playing plays like negative 30%, negative 25%, guess what? You're going to get eaten up pretty quick in sports betting. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this last one. So, a lot of people ask me, Frank, why do you play higher odds? Why do you pick the higher odds plays most of the time? It's not because I want to, okay? It's because that's what the numbers speak. Look at this right here. Minus 110, negative 30%. Minus 250, negative 25%. We get to the minus 500 here, though. There's a different story here, okay? We average those two together, we get 86%, right? We get 86%. Let's put this right up here. 86% true probability with an implied probability of 83%. That gives us what? A plus 3% edge at this number. Yes, it's minus 500, but we have a 3% edge there. So long term, you keep playing these type of plays, you will actually have an advantage over the sportsbook rather than the money being shelled to you. You're pretty much the house in this aspect, okay? When you're sitting down at a table game and a table game's house edge is 3%, they're taking 3% long term. Now, this is flipped right here. These type of plays, it's flipped where you're the house actually, and you're taking in that 3% the longer you play these type of plays that line up. Now, if you guys want all the plays that follow this method right here and you want those delivered to you daily, make sure you guys click the link in the description. So again, let's get to exactly how that works. True probability here, implied probability here. Okay, our true probability was 86%. Our implied was 83%. This right here gave us a 3% edge compared to what? The other plays that gave us negative 30%, negative 25%, so we wouldn't play those, okay? That is how you find true probability. That is how you're able to really define whether you're going to be the house or you're going to be the player and you're going to keep donating. This is the one secret that's been kept from you guys for decades about sports betting. Nobody teaches this. Absolutely no one. And this video right here will literally make you guys successful in sports betting just by applying this true probability strategy to all your player props.